Hi there, welcome to Story Corner Children's Book Review. Today the book we're looking at is Tom's Special Talent. It's written by Kate Gaynor and it's illustrated by Eva Byrne. This is a 2009 publication from the Special Stories series, and this particular book is a story about dyslexia. Before we review the book, I just want to give you some information about the Special Stories series. They have a website, www.specialstories.ie, and on the website you'll find information about a range of books that deal with special educational needs, and as it says here, these books are designed to introduce all children to the positive aspects of inclusive education. So each book has a different character and tells a different story. For example, this story is about hearing difficulties, this story is about autism or autism spectrum disorders, and this story is about Down syndrome. This particular book is about Tom, and I'm just going to look at 3 of the spreads in this book because I don't want to look at all of them. So Tom is the narrator in this story. Judging by the illustrations, I would say he's maybe 7 or 8 years of age. He introduces himself and talks about school. He has a very positive attitude towards school, and he seems to have a very good relationship with his teacher, Miss Jolly. He then goes on to talk about the fun things that he enjoys about school, like art and music. But then he mentions that he feels quite anxious when it's his turn to read from a book. He feels worried that he might get the words wrong. I think the illustrations in this book are lovely. They're very attractive illustrations. They have some nice background detail. For example, here we see Tom on the page where he talks about his worries and anxieties. He's looking very anxious. We can see the word help framing his face with all the letters and numbers surrounding him. Then Tom goes on to talk about the support that he receives from his teacher, and she explains to him how different children have different ways of learning, and some people find particular parts of learning more difficult than others, and everybody has special talents. So a very important positive message there. So the story goes on, and Tom's school principal announces that there is going to be a special celebration. The school is going to be 50 years old, and to celebrate the school, the children have to come up with ideas about what it is that they love about school or what it is that they'd like to share about their school. And Tom decides that he would like to share a picture which depicts all the children having their different special talents. So on this particular page, Tom talks about John, who is not very good at writing but is great at football. Sadie, who finds maths hard to do but is great at reading. And then he mentions other characters and the different talents that they have. So he mentions how sometimes children might not be particularly strong in one area, but they can have strengths in other areas. So the story ends with, following this, Tom feels a little bit worried. He talks to his mum. He can't figure out what his own special talent is, and his mum suggests that maybe painting is his special talent. And it turns out he agrees. And it turns out that Tom wins the school competition. There's also a page in here where Tom explains a little bit about dyslexia. He says that when people have difficulties with words, spelling, writing and reading, that it's dyslexia. And it doesn't mean that they're not as clever as their peers. It just means that they have to work a little bit harder or practice harder at that area. So it's a lovely book. I think it's a nice book for all children to read. I particularly think it would be a good book for a child with dyslexia to read. It explains it very briefly, but it also talks about how children can have many other talents, and that having dyslexia doesn't need to be something that they feel sad about or something that can hold them back. The final pages of this, in the final part of the book, Tom says, "Now it's over to you. Why don't you tell me about your special talent?" And there's a blank space here where the child who owns this book can draw their talent. And there's also some general information about dyslexia in the back of the book, a suggestion about how you can use it, and links or information about where you as a parent or adult can get help or find out more about dyslexia. So this is a nice book from the Special Stories series. I'm certainly going to check out more of these books, and I think the website certainly would be a helpful resource for parents or teachers or carers. That's all for now. Until next time, thank you.